Sarah McKenna, new business manager here at CADA. I'm part of the client services team, so we look at lots of trends for our clients. So Stylus is super useful for us in that regard.
I'm Dan Higgett. I'm director of CADA Design, head of client services, marketing, and new business. I look after all of the new projects that we work with and the new clients that we meet. And then as the projects come into the studio and as we work with those clients, oversee not really the production and the output. We've got a whole design team who do that, but what I do is make sure that I'm kind of the client's representative, thinking about what the client wants, thinking back to the original brief and making sure we're continuing to hit those marks for the client.
I'd say from our point of view in client services, it's the starting point for any of the research-based work that we do. And speaking on behalf of the designers, certainly in terms of the visual material that they look for, visual stimulus, it's probably the starting point of most of our projects.
And from my point of view, what it does is it allows us to get a competitive advantage when we're talking to clients prior to being appointed, because it helps us to demonstrate our knowledge of the sector that we're working in or the sector that the clients are interested in. And also, as Sarah said, when we're working from a design point of view, once we're appointed and we're working on the project, it quickly allows us to make sure that we're on top as a design team of all of the trends that are relevant to that project and whatever might influence the way that customers are going to want to shop or spend time or dine with our clients, and make sure that we have a fully rounded approach to the project and to what we're then going to deliver.
So we've recently been working on a future of food trend document that we've now shared with a number of blue chip clients and developers, anyone in property and food. And Stylus was really useful for that because it allowed us to really hone what those trends would be, what the key themes would be for the next 5 to 10 years, and also look at the demographic research that's out there and really gain an understanding of who the core customers were going to be. And therefore really put together a convincing and persuasive document to share with our clients and our prospective clients, and show that, you know, as well as design, we are very well versed in the insight and strategy side of things.
As a brand and design agency that focus on food and hospitality, those are the areas that we're most interested in. So we need to make sure that, and you know, we do generally anyway, because our teams are out in the real world, trying, seeing, exploring and discovering what's happening now and what's coming on and what's new. But also we need to understand what's coming as well, because when we're designing, particularly if we're designing spaces more than brands, because they can take 6, 12, 18, even 24 months sometimes to come to fruition, we need to be prepared for what the future is going to look like when we're designing and when we are assembling what that space should be. So it's very important to us that we have insight that gives us a confident sense of direction of where we're going and where our clients' customers are going. What are the habits that are changing or evolving? What are their behaviors going to be like? Who's going to become, you know, who may not right now be part of the core cohort of their customers, but in 3 or 5 years' time, maybe moving into that from a demographic or aging point of view, and make sure that we are, you can't ever future-proof everything. So that's, you know, but making sure we're as future aware as we possibly can be. And Stylus is a very important part of our tool set to allow us to be future aware and to confidently, again, describe that to our clients.
Yes, and again, I see a sort of clear division between us on customer services and the design team. So for us, the look ahead reports are really, really key because as Dan said in the previous question, it's all about how customer perceptions and expectations are going to change, and then how we weave that into the solutions that we provide for our clients. And then I think from the designer's point of view, the look ahead is great for them as well. They also obviously use the colour and the material reports to get that visual sort of stimulus to any project.
And I think for me, actually, what's more important than the specific types of reports is the ability to search them, is the fact that we've got a brief or we've got something that we're trying to understand, familiarise ourselves with, or to have a strong opinion on, and that actually we can search through all the different types of reports and assemble the information that's available and then form a coherent kind of summary of ourselves through our own lens of our experience and what we're trying to do with clients to make sure that we're delivering, again, the best product that we possibly can do.
What's quite useful, I think, for our clients is to present a trend, to show them a trend, and then really draw out what's the relevant insight for you, because it has to be relevant to their business. And I think it's something that gets the balance right between relevant to their business, but also extending them beyond their sort of current, showing them what their capabilities are, and showing how they can use this trend to extend their offer in a way that's consistent with their brand values and also, operationally feasible as well.
And I think what we have to do is we have to take trend insights and understanding, and often we have to summarize them quite hard, if you like. Some clients are super interested in what's going on in the world and you can take them on a journey and tell them that story. Other times we need to get right down to why is this trend going to impact your business and what are our learnings or what are our recommendations from that. Everything that we get from Stylus is integrated into our presentation formats and our summary. So it's our opinion and it's our recommendations of CADA Design for what we think the client should do, but it's underpinned by Stylus's research and our ability to be able to call out where that research has come from and to be able to say that this is something from a Stylus report adds weight, because it's not just ever CADA's opinion or what we feel. It's information and it's data that's been analysed, trends that have been collected, and then we're able to help with that summary to really help to pinpoint to clients why that's important for them to pay attention and why that may impact their business or what our solutions are for their business.
So last year we did 2 pieces of research work for an international hotel group. We started off working with the EMEA region, and then on the back of the success of that, we were asked to do the same piece of work for the Americas region. And it was looking at the future of F&B retail within the hotel landscape. So a huge topic, and it was really helpful to be able to go to Stylus and effectively brief Alessia with the brief that our client had shared with us, and then get that kind of digest of information from Stylus and then go back and refine it. And we had lots of interim meetings with our client as we got the research documents together. It was quite a long, lengthy project. So to be able to go back to Stylus and say, we need to touch on this topic, we need to look at this aspect, was incredibly helpful.
And for me, I think I'd like to go back to where Sarah was talking about the food and drink trends report that we put together at the end of last year and the start of 2023 to be able to share with clients about where we see the businesses going in a much longer term way, looking out 5 or 10 years rather than just 2 or 3. And one of the main findings that one of the main insights that we've gained and that we've also found resonates with the clients and the people we've been sharing it with when we've been presenting is that we see there's a big potential crossover between food and beauty, and that is being driven by a real growth in the wellness sector in terms of product innovation and service innovation that's happening there, and how that's going to bring these two areas together. And I think that Stylus was a fundamentally important part of us being able to identify that insight and share it in a concise way with clients.
Well, Dan touched on earlier that intersection between food and beauty under the sort of banner of wellness. And I think that's the most interesting trend that we're coming up against now. And we've also, having shared it with clients, we're seeing that they've already started to think in that way. We were talking to someone who runs the food section of a large department store. And he was saying that actually he's been asked to look at how food and beauty can dovetail together. And it's with this trend towards more functional foods becoming more and more prevalent, it simply makes sense if you're going to find a food product that contains particular health additives, and I mean additives in a positive way rather than, food additives, then it makes sense if you're going to put something from a pot onto your face, then you're going to consume it as a foodstuff. It's really interesting to see how those two categories can borrow from each other, learn from each other, and come together.
And not necessarily outside our industry, but we work a lot internationally, and we work a lot with demographics and shifting trends. So one of the things that's really important for us about Stylus is the ability to look at, for example, what's happening in Asia that is discrete and different from what's happening in Europe, what's happening in the GCC in the Middle East that is also different, or where there are commonalities across those territories. That allows us to then really tailor the approach and tailor what we think is important for those clients. And it's really vital, in fact, now. There are many things that are international and are really homogenized, and there are lots of behaviors that are led from one territory that very quickly, through the way that everyone is now constantly connected, can permeate into different cultures. But there are still very strong differences, either in priorities or preferences, or in cultural behaviours and cultural norms. And so there's a lot of layering that we need to take into account when we're working with international brands or brands that only operate in one territory. And it's important that we can get there quite quickly so that we can demonstrate our understanding to our clients and therefore give them the confidence that our recommendations or our approach is the right one for them.
So as well as all the reports, which are where we use Stylus the most, and having that really good connection with an account manager to help digest the information, your events are fantastic and your podcasts are really interesting. So I think different ways of accessing the Stylus expertise is something that is worth highlighting.
The breadth of information and the quick filtering that we get, we will always get a response within 24 hours of making contact with our account manager. So we know that in a fast turnaround project, we'll be getting support and we'll be getting help quickly, and that will give us a good starting point. It may be that we need to go through another 2 or 3 iterations to really hone in on what it is we're trying to say, or try and find the right information that supports our thinking. But it's that speed, that pace and the responsiveness, and also the ability that we can search that ourselves if we need to at short notice, particularly again when we're working internationally. We've got an office in Hong Kong as well as our office in London, and time zones and tight time scales mean that that pace is critical and very important. I think that's a really important, for me, if I were recommending this, it's that it's always responsive, the information is there, it's at your fingertips, and it happens very quickly because every project is under time pressure now.